Hello and welcome back to Dance Colleges and Careers. I'm your host, Brittany Noltimier, and today we are talking about props. Props for our dances, props for the stage, and props for those dance competitions. I had a parent reach out the other day asking about their prop and what is it about props that's going to help them score higher or do better, or what do the judges like or what do the judges not like? And I thought it was a really interesting topic. I wanted to share some of this with you because, first of all, I grew up a dance competition kid, and now I own a theater business, right? So I have a little different perspective, and I shared that with some of my colleagues one dance competition weekend, and I realized that was the unpopular opinion. So basically, a lot of judges do get irritated with props. I'm sorry, I don't know why, but if the prop is not used, if the prop is just there and it never gets touched, if it's not utilized, a lot of judges will be like, why did we even use this? Why did you spend the money on this? Why did you travel with it if you're not going to use it? Now, recently, this is when I was saying I like to play devil's advocate. So I was like, well, with my theater background, I was like, this number right here, I was okay with that backdrop because it looked amazing and it did set the tone, especially for a lot of those solos, especially for solos that you're trying to create this character and give all this storytelling in just 2 minutes, and it can be hard to accomplish that. So sometimes I can appreciate a prop or a backdrop or something if it really is helping to tell the story. But I will say that's the unpopular opinion. Yeah. And that's only more recently as I'm growing older and I'm like, oh, okay, well, that's cute. But most judges do feel very strongly about if you're not going to use your prop, why is it there? All right. Some ways to improve upon that. So here's something that maybe we don't always think about is our prop is not going to give us higher or lower points, but it does add an element of difficulty. It does not like difficulty where it really is on the rubric, but it adds more room for error. So if you have a prop and, it falls on the floor, what do you do if it tips over, it breaks, right? Because now we're at the end of the season and sometimes the wear and tear on the prop can be a lot. So it is tricky in that sense where errors are more likely to happen. I don't want to discourage you from using props because props can be amazing. They can be extremely unique, tell a cool story, bring your audience in, but it does leave leaves extra room for error that maybe we wouldn't have accounted for if we didn't have the prop in our piece. Something else is safety. If you have a prop and you're jumping off of it and you're making the judges go, if you're making the audience nervous for you about your safety, not saying that if you have a unique, cool skill that is new, but if safety really is an issue, that's another moment where the prop might not be the best plan because then they can't even watch you. They can't focus on you and your story. It's more about, is this person going to be okay? We want everybody to be okay. We never want to see injuries on stage. So when we're reckless with props, which people can be sometimes because, well, first of all, adrenaline is high. So we're excited, or maybe the prop is secure. It's never failed you before, but from the audience, it looks risky. Or if there's wobbly tables, wobbly chairs, it can be scary and distracting. So that's when it's distracting. I guess that's the answer to that. We don't want our prop to be a distraction from you, from your amazing talents and skills. We just want it to bring you up. And that's where the challenge comes in. Okay, so most of all, if you are using a prop in your piece, your prop should help you tell the story. All right, and the best way to do that, this is what barely anybody does, but my favorite exercise to do, the best way is to think of your prop as a character in your story. Think of it as somebody else you're dancing with, as your duet partner. So when you have your prop, you don't want to, you want to look at it. Yeah. Same thing if you have a duet partner, you don't want to just stare straight out and dance only for the audience, kind of like a robot. You want to have that human connection with your dance partner. And that can really help you improve your maturity and your stage presence with a prop is by acting like it is your duet partner. One, how do you do that? First off is eye contact. Yes, if you're picking something up, you can look at it. You don't have to do this thing. You can look at it and safely put the prop where it needs to go. Your eye contact will help tell the story. It will help us see the connection of why you're using this prop. Okay. So most importantly is that focus. And then it's like how you treat the prop too. My number one pet peeve is when a prop gets thrown to the ground. Okay, so we used it for the first minute, and then at some point we are done with it. So we have whatever we're holding and we just throw it on the ground like it's a piece of trash, like it's garbage we're littering on the stage. And that just never looks good. Okay, when there's crap left on the stage, it looks like garbage. Very rarely does that actually work. I mean, yes, I know we have, if we have sunglasses and we throw them all the way to the wings because it's like a sassy attitude, that probably works. Probably works for the most part. Yeah, throwing them, and if it gets all the way off the stage, you're in the clear. But when we have something and we just throw it down because we need to use our arms now for our next best walkover, it's weird. It's weird. And my biggest thing for you guys is we want our routine, we want our choreography to make sense. You don't want to confuse your judges. You don't want to confuse your audience. We are dancing, we're telling a story for entertainment or to connect or to have your audience feel this vulnerable position in this storytelling. Yeah, in this story that you're communicating to us. So you don't ever want us to go, oh, okay, I guess we're done with that now, because it's just kind of weird. So we always want to make sure that what we're doing makes sense. It makes sense on a human level, not just as a dancer. So don't throw your props on the ground like it's a piece of trash. Something else to think about when you're building your prop is that you have to carry it to every event, to every show, to whatever performances your studio does. And I'm going to encourage you to, I don't know what your studio does or if you have a trailer, but when you're building it, think that you would be responsible for this. If it's too big or too difficult to ever bring to the studio to be able to practice with, how can you succeed like that? Now, again, everybody has different facilities and maybe you can leave it there. You can practice with it every time. But if you can't ever get it to the studio to practice with, if your first time using it is on the stage, how can you succeed like that? Just something to think about as you're creating. And this is probably more for our parents or our prop dads. Just thinking of like if it needs to be more lightweight, who's bringing it on and off the stage? Is it the students? Is it parents? Is it your dance teacher? Because if it's your dance teacher, think about them if they have to carry this really heavy item on the stage. And then how is it going to get to and from performances? If you have a trailer and you have several different set pieces and you have a big team, I'm sure you can do anything and you have the best resources ever. But just something to think about as you're starting to build these items. So if it's not a prop that you have to stand on, like maybe think about the weight of it. So a good test of our prop is you have to connect with it 3 times. Yes, at least 3 times. You don't also, I wish the judges weren't so hung up on use your prop. If you're not using it, get rid of it. I wish that they could talk about other things. I'm sorry. But if you don't touch it within the first 40 seconds, I bet for a lot of people that is on their mind. Oh, we have this prop. Are we ever going to use it? So something to consider when we're using props like that. I have to tell you this story. Oh, I saw this routine once. I was judging and it was an amazing routine. Beautiful. They had one of those recliner chairs, but they were pushing it all over the stage. And it's heavy, right? It's really heavy and shoving it around the stage. I don't know what the floor is like in their studio, but on the Marley stage, it got cut on a lip and it went and it ripped the Marley up. Okay. And that was really, really bad. That was bad for the studio owner, because now that's, you guys are probably responsible for that financially, because that is a big no-no. You cannot wreck a piece of Marley. It's really expensive, and with your props, you're expected to be responsible with them. Yeah. So, and then as a judge too, and all of us as business owners, we're just seeing this beautiful Marley floor getting destroyed, and what are you going to do? There were kids trying to make it through, and they got caught on the floor, and you just have to keep going. And it was really painful to watch, because I could see the kids struggling, because obviously the floor was different than what the floor is they practice with at home. Now I'm feeling bad for the kids on stage. I'm feeling bad for the studio owner. I'm feeling bad for the competition, because now we're going to be the routines after it have to go on this wrecked floor. And so they could be upset. And then we're going to have to stop and probably take at least 10-15 minutes, which then we're going to get behind to fix the floor, or at least to the best of the ability. If something doesn't go as planned with that prop, especially those big props where safety is a big concern. But I just had to share that with you, because, my heart was like going out to the dancers. You could see them fighting through it, and their prop was just not working right. It wasn't doing what they had been practicing in their studio on their floor. So maybe if you have something like that, try it on a couple different floors so you know what to expect. And then finally, I was talking to a parent about their prop, and they were going to use a school desk or something like that. And they're using it for a jazz routine. I'm like, and they were not sure if they should bling it out or not. This is totally your preference. Yeah. If you have a little kid doing a fun jazz song and their costume is glitz and glamour, their prop can totally be glitz and glamored. Again, we still wanted to tell the story. So right now my kids are working on Annie. So but you can still do Annie with glitz and glamour because it's dance competitions. But but you still want to tell the story. So if you want it not to be glitz and glamour, if you want it to be a little bit more raw or real people, theatrical is what I wanted to say, rather than the glitz and glamour of dance competition, more raw, like storytelling, then maybe you're not going to rhinestone it all up. But at the end of the day, it's your child out there doing their thing, doing their solo. It's their big moment. They should love what they're working with. You have put in so much of your time as the parent, as the prop parent, prop dad, prop mom, to make them prepared for this time on stage. And in the end, as long as the teacher's okay with it, whatever your teacher's, as long as you're not going against what your teacher says, yeah, go for it. Bling it out. Make it fun. Make it fancy. And that leads into our final discussion. If you're putting it on stage, make sure it looks like it's meant for the stage. Okay, if you have chairs and you come out and then they're foldable chairs and it has a big nasty sticker on the bottom, maybe do something to hide that, or Goo Gone, take that sticker off, or make it meant for the stage. Make sure it doesn't look like, oh, I just grabbed this from Backstage and I guess I'll use it in my routine. Yeah. So this is just my opinion on props from the audience point of view, from the judge's point of view, and then also from the Backstage point of view, because I see as I'm working on the Backstage with dance competitions, I see everybody getting those props set up. I can see when they're too big that it's actually a problem depending on the venues you go to. So think about what venues do you take your kids to for your dance competitions, because usually you go to the same types of venues, right? So when you're building your props, make sure you know if you can get it in the doors or how you're going to get it on and off the stage. You don't want to be totally stressed out and miserable all weekend. I'm not saying difficult. Theaters are old. Theaters are not, they weren't built for dance competitions. They weren't. So what do you know about your venue that would make your life really difficult? And so how can you set yourself up for success with your props? Does that mean they need to be built in bottom half and top half, or side by side? Or do you have to, I know a lot of people will put them together in the parking lots before they come in, and that's cool. But is your venue one where you have to have it backstage and then you put it together? Because that can cause big problems if there's a really small backstage. So just just some ideas to think about for you, because I know I've seen a lot of like new dance parents have their big props and then get there and I see the panic. And then once the parent panics, then the child is starting to panic, and they do not need to panic about the prop, right? Even if you're panicking about it, we want to separate them from that. They're already nervous enough as it is, and they're about to go on stage. You're nervous too. I get it. And so if you can help, so if you take the responsibility of the prop yourself, just get it fixed, get it done, and that's not like their problem. I hate to say it like that, but try not to make that the child's problem, because they got to warm up. They've got a lot of other things on their plate, and they have a lot of other dances to worry about too. So it's almost like, make sure that's being delegated correctly. The parent has the prop, we'll fix that problem, and the kids can warm up and make sure that they're going to be safe in everything that they're working on and with their team and with their dance teacher. So there you go. Like I said, this is just my opinions on props based off what I've seen. And I know it's going to be different for everybody in your different venues, your different studios, the value you guys have on props at your studio, whether you have to haul it or if it's going in a big trailer. So I tried to be as general as I can while still giving you information. So take with it what you will, and I hope that helps you out a little bit to get you started on your prop building for this year. And I can't wait to see you at competition. Keep on dancing, and I'll catch you in the next one.